Hello, dear ones, and greetings from the Center for Contemporary Mysticism in Philadelphia. My name is Joe Irwin, and it's a joy to gather with you again to explore this amazing journey that we share. Today, in the United States, at least, we're celebrating No King's Day plus one. You'll probably read about that on your news. The biggest demonstration that's almost ever existed in the United States of people coming together around, one cause. And so that's a lot of excitement going on here. But the other excitement right here and now is our guest for the day, my dear friend and a spiritual companion, Alice Friend. As most of you know, Alice is a spiritual counselor, a medium, a healing practitioner, and past life regression therapist. She's also an author, an artist, a musician, a mother and grandmother, and lover of the divine. Her purpose today, and I think these days we might say, is to work more in helping others connect with their divine nature and with loved ones who have passed. And we're going to be focusing on that today. And that's why our program is called In Love, There Is No Separation, communing with loved ones who are no longer in the body. So, Alice, welcome. We're overjoyed to have you with us finally.
Oh, thank you so much, Joe and Patricia. I'm overjoyed to be with you.
Good. Well, we're going to be back to you in just a moment. In the meantime, I'd like to welcome back Patricia. As most of you know by now who followed our program, she's our primary interviewer, member of the board, also an author, a former pastor, and spiritual teacher, and has a wonderful podcast. If you hadn't checked it out, we'll tell you where to find it later, called the We Awakening Podcast. And I always like to take a moment and thank you, each of you who are joining us live today, and those of you who will join us later who can't be here maybe when we're recording, but many join later on YouTube or the other social media. And remember that it's our goal to be a partner with you in your journey. So we invite you to get involved, volunteer, join, support, do whatever you can or feel led to do to help us continue this wonderful work. Lastly, remember there will be a Q&A after we have our program with Patricia and Alice. So if you think of a question, jot it down, because often by the end of the discussion when we go into Q&A, you might have forgotten it. I always have to jot down, and usually I keep a list of my list. And you'll have the opportunity to ask questions directly and dialogue one-on-one with Alice. We get to as many of those as we can. So be sure and make a note, and when we get to Q&A, you can click raise your hand and be able to come on and chat. So now, without further ado, Patricia and Alice, we'll turn it over to you, and I'll be back a little bit later for our Q&A.
Thank you, Jill. And Alice, thank you for joining today. It's just, I've been really looking forward to this. And you and I had the great blessing of meeting in person just about a month ago. So that was quite wonderful. These people that we come to know online and then to meet in the flesh is really, really quite a blessing. So Alice, you have, you've been a medium. I'm curious to know when you first discover that you have this gift of being able to receive communications from people who are no longer in the body.
My goodness me. Well, it really started probably in my early 30s, although I knew something was going on, but I was also a young mother at the time, so I had to concentrate on that. But it was not so much as people that aren't in a body. I had a profound experience in a yeah it was it was a it was a, it was beautiful sort of session that I was having with a group of people, and the chair on my right was empty, and we were taken into the most beautiful meditation, and suddenly I felt this heat on my right hand side, a physical heat. And I felt this presence of love that I had never felt in my life before like this. And it was overwhelming and peaceful and safe all at the same time. And I just sort of sat with it, and it was absolutely beautiful. And then after afterwards, I went up to the woman that was giving the guided meditation and I said, "This is the experience I've just had." And she closed her eyes and she said, "Oh, my dear, you have the most beautiful guide I have ever seen. And now he's made himself known to you, but he's always been close to you. And his name is Golden Flame, and that's why you felt the warmth." And from that moment onwards, Golden Flame and I conversed on an inner level. And he was very uninvasive, but strong at the same time. And he started teaching me from within. And now I realize that Golden Flame, my guide, is also an aspect of the Holy Spirit. And many years later, after all, many years of conversing and being taught by him, he asked me to marry him. He asked me to commit to him. And that was between my marriages. And I was a single mother. And I did a ritual and I totally committed to that part of myself that represents my higher self. And he said to me at that time, "Now that I am your spirit husband, I will look after you just as a husband looks after a wife. And we can start giving readings for people, and you can help other people. And we don't exactly work in the same way as a medium that shares and brings through different people, although that might happen sometimes. What we're going to do is to invite people to bring questions, but their higher self already knows the answers. And what I will do with you is reflect those answers from their higher self back to those people." So that's what I did for a long time. And that was how it all started. And sometimes, obviously, those that aren't in a body came through sometimes as well. But my commitment, it was a commitment. And in that commitment, something completely shifted for me. And it's been like that ever since. That's how it all started.
Wow. What an experience. And then so at some point you did start receiving and conveying communications from those no longer in body to their loved ones who still are in body. And I'm curious, when that's happening, Alice, what are you experiencing inwardly?
Love.
Mm.
Very simply, love. Because where our home is love. I mean, you can call it heaven, you can call it God, whatever you want. It's all love. And my experience is just surrendering to that love. And as I surrender to it, it's easy.
So then once that surrendering has happened, then it just flows through you, from you.
It's an inner experience. It's
Mm-hmm.
very much an inner experience. We have inner ears, we have inner eyes, we have an inner knowing, and there's also a feeling. And, it's very important to trust our feelings, because when you have a feeling, say there's a feeling in the room that somebody's there, and often they are when you feel that they are. And if you feel love, and if you feel a peace, and if you feel safe, you know that there is the truth in that presence. If you feel afraid, if you feel skeptical, if you feel worried about it, you have to wonder, well, what is this really? So you have to really go with your feelings. And our feelings are honest. but we have to be very acutely aware of them.
And one of the things that I've heard you say is that that we all have the capability of being in communion with our loved ones who are no longer in body. But I believe I've heard you say that oftentimes one of the obstacles is we perceive it to be an external relationship rather than an internal experience. Do I have that right? Am I saying that accurately?
Well, one of the most amazing experiences I had that truly, truly came right through me was when my stepson, died in 2016. He suddenly died. This is what the book Here I Am Dead is all about. And we didn't have the easiest of relationships. I brought him up as his full-time mother since he was 6. And I loved him very much. But he was a very lively and very, very aware young man. And, it wasn't always easy being a stepmother. I think it's a very hard thing being a stepmother sometimes. Anyway, we did love each other, and we had our challenges, but that was fine. So he died when he was 36. And after he left his body, I was 2 or 3 days afterwards, I was lying in a bath, very relaxed, and I said, Davon, I am so sorry if in any way I hurt you, and I ask for your forgiveness for anything I have done in any way that might have hurt you in your life. And immediately this presence came inside of me. It was inside of me. And it was so strong and it was so filled with love that it was quite remarkable. It's in the book. I've explained this in the book. And he said, Alice, of course I forgive you. But I didn't make life easy for you either. Will you please forgive me? And I said, of course I forgive you, David. And I mean, I get a little choked up when I think about it because it was the most profound experience of forgiveness and the most real experience of forgiveness I think I've ever clearly experienced. And from that moment on, love just flowed between us. And 6 months later, when Rod and I, when my ex-husband, well, it's not ex, my goodness, my deceased husband. It's a funny thing to say ex, isn't it? My husband that's no longer in his body, but with me all the time, he was asking about Davin. And the minute he asked, Davin came through, wham, like that. Here I am, Dad. Here I am. And then talked to us ever since. And because we had made that incredible rapport of love, it was just so easy. And so, until Rod left his body a year and a half ago, Davin talked to him all the time. And that's what the book's all about.
And he talked to him through you.
Yes.
Because you had the capacity to really receive that, and then you could convey it to Rod.
Indeed.
And then the two of you, well, the three of you really, compiled this book. And it's quite a wonderful, the book is quite wonderful of this, his sharing with you all what it's like for him now that he's no longer in body. And what are some of the things from those communications from Davon? What are some of the things that really stand out to you that he shared with you?
Well, first of all, he certainly kept his personality and his life force, but he dropped a lot of things that might have gotten in the way of him easily loving. And he has said, and this is very powerful, he said one of the wonderful things he was able to drop was judgments. He said, where he is now, there are no judgments. And what a relief, he said, when he said, There was no judgments anymore. Could you imagine a life for all of us where there's no judgments ever about ourselves or other people? And that was one of the many things he said. And he also said, we are greater, all of us are greater than we could ever imagine. And one of his visions is to help people know how great we are and how vast we are and what opportunities there are within us to know our greatness and our vastness and how life and death is just a part of eternity. What we call death doesn't really exist. It's life eternal. He said there is no death. There is just a change or a difference in the way we relate. But the spirit can never die. And that's so, so important for all of us to know that. And most of us here probably know that already. But actually to take it in 100% and know it while we're still alive is very important. You don't have to wait till we die to know that.
Mm. Yeah. One of the things I remember reading the book is how he told you that those who are no longer in body feel, I think he said, sort of like that realm's version of sadness,
Mhm.
that we here on this plane don't believe we can be in touch with them, and that they feel this sense of being cut off, and it's hard for them not for us not to be open to them and to know that the relationship continues.
This is very, very important. This is one of the most important messages, really, and messages for this interview that we're talking about now too. So we have to know that those that are no longer in a body want to communicate with us. They want to know that they're available and that they can help us. They can help us in ways that they might not have been able to when they're in a body. As he said, he's got people in the right places that can help us. If he can't, he's got other backups. He was very funny, wasn't it? Wasn't he funny in that book? And he was just like that in real life too. He's so like that.
Yeah,
He's
very
always,
like whimsical
yeah.
almost.
It was
Yeah.
just the same. You could certainly tell it was Dathan because of the funny things he was saying all the time. But it's very important to know that those on the other side, and this is the essence of what I wanted to share today, want to communicate with us. Now, I will say something here that is also a fact, and that is not all those that have left their body are in touch with the world of the living. Some don't want to be. They want to continue on and just do whatever they're doing without having to have one foot on the earth, so to speak, with the living. But there's a lot of people, a lot of loved ones that want very, very much to be in tune with us, and they love it when we know that, when we go beyond belief and know that, and they'll put little proofs out all the time. They'll always have little proofs, but we have to actually have the faith and the knowing that they do want to be in touch with us, and that all the little subtle things and the things we feel are actually true. They actually are true. And that's our intuition. And the more you know that, and the more that you practice that with the loved one that has gone on to another place, but it's still continues, of course. The more you know that, the closer you can be, and the more you also, something else in this is important too, the less you fear death yourself. And that is an important part of all this. You know, the less you fear death, in fact, you include what we call death or transition in your living or in this incarnation. So when you can include transition in this incarnation, you can live between the two worlds. And so therefore, you can very much talk to those and listen to those on the other side. And they have a lot to give us, a lot to share with us, and a lot to remind us of, too.
Yes, and I so appreciate what you're saying, Alice, and I suspect that a lot of people, if they are experiencing something that might be an attempt to communicate, a lot of us might be tempted to just write it off as, oh, that's just my imagination, or that's just my wishful thinking, or so. What would you say about that?
I'm going to come back to what I was talking about, feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel that somebody's wanting to contact you and be in touch with you, how does that feel for your heart? Okay. And then when your mind or your justifications or your whatever it is that wants, maybe your ego comes in and says, oh, yes, well, that's just your imagination. That doesn't really happen. How do you feel then? There's a sadness. There's a, yeah, a sort of disempowerment, I suppose, type of disempowerment. Because to know that somebody that you've loved wants to communicate with you is a very, very happy, beautiful, loving feeling. And to disregard that and doubt that is not a loving, happy feeling. So you go with your feelings. Your feelings are always your yardstick.
Yeah. I shared with you an experience that I had after my mother had died, and I was camping with a friend, and we were in this area here in Pennsylvania where there's this huge field of these big boulders that I think were left after the glaciers, receded after the ice age. And I was sitting on one of these boulders. My friend was way off, and we were just sort of having our own time, and I was journaling and such. And there was this little blue butterfly that was flitting around me the whole time. And this was like for a couple of hours. And my mother loved butterflies. And I really did sense like this is mom. I had that inner sense, I think, that you're talking about, like that heart knowing. I suppose like if I wanted to look at it from a purely skeptical vantage point, well, that's just coincidence, but I could feel it. It's that feeling. So that's one of the ways, right, that loved ones can communicate through like the animal realm. And there are other ways that we might notice, like sense, or what are some of the ways that you have experienced people trying to, get in touch with us, get our attention?
Well, definitely a fragrance. If somebody had a particular perfume, or my father smoked a pipe, for example, with a particular very strong pipe tobacco, and whenever I feel him around, I immediately know he's there because I smell the pipe tobacco. And that's really very real. I'll tell you an experience I had with my grandmother. We made a deal that she would come back to me somehow after she died. And she was very Irish. She was Irish. I'm half Irish. My father was born in Ireland, and this is my father's mother. And we were very close. And I said, let's make a deal that she'll come back to me somehow. And she said, yeah, but I don't know how. Anyway, when she died, about 4 hours after she died, it was the afternoon, I was in England, the phone rang. Just like it normally did, the phone rang. And my husband was in the house as well. And I answered the phone, and it was her. And she said in her Irish accent, like, Alice, don't believe them. I'm not dead. I'm just different. And I said, Nana, is that you? And she said, of course. Don't believe them. I'm not dead. I'm just different.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
So they often use electrical devices, phones, and they can do that for 3 or 4 days after they've left their bodies. So sometimes there's flashing lights and phones and yeah, that anything kind of electrical, the spirit can use that.
Mm.
Mhm.
And your husband Rod also, well, he was going through cancer treatment, and Davon really helped him
Oh,
as he
yes,
was
he helped
facing
them.
that. And now that Rod is no longer in body, what has that been like for you?
My goodness, just as you asked that, a whole lightning bolt went through me. On a physical level, it's not easy because I miss him very much. My body misses his body because I'm still in a body. On a spiritual level, he says, and I feel this too, that we are closer than we've ever been because our bodies aren't in the way, which is a very interesting thing for him to say. And I say, yes, my darling, but I've still got a body. He said something to me recently, which was just incredible. He said, when we're in a body, we can be both in spirit and in a body at the same time. But when we leave the body, we can only be in spirit. He said, it's a real privilege to be in the body and know that you can be in both. And he said, we're meant to be in both while we're in a body, in spirit and in a body, in an equal way, so that while we're in a body, and this is really important, we can use the invisible spiritual realms because that is what they're there for. Because we are spirit, we are eternal spirit. And so I'm in constant communication with Rod. We talk all the time. I write many, many, many things down. And I wrote down today, I said to him, you know, he knows we're doing this webinar. And I said to him, well, would you have anything to say? And do you have anything you want to share about this? And he said that, I'll just read this. He said that it's very important to know that love happens within you. It happens within you. When you hear, feel, and see a loved one, it is love happening in a very beautiful way within you. And he says, life expresses itself in a far greater and vaster way than most of us can even visualize. The essence of all life is love, manifest and unmanifest. Love is an ongoing reality expressing itself through us all. And then he says, trust your heart. Trust your heart. Use your feelings to know love's presence. If you feel doubt or skepticism, this is what I said earlier, playing with your mind, don't believe it. Don't believe that. If you feel at peace, happy, fulfilled, and loving, know that this is true. Be open to receive love. Be really open to receive love. This is what we're here for. Do not be afraid of love. He says, don't be afraid of love. Your spirit recognizes what is true and reminds you that in love there is no separation. Open your heart to love and trust it. You know, when somebody leaves their body, we gain access to a different relationship with them. When somebody leaves their body, we gain access to a different relationship with them. And we do gain access to a different relationship with them. And this is important for all of us to know. We still have a relationship. It's just not a body one. And we are spirit, and we are love. And it's very fulfilling and very beautiful to know that. So I miss Rod's body. I feel sad sometimes that I'm alone in the house, and I miss his piano playing, and I miss our wonderful talks and our cuddles, of course. I really miss that. But those are all body things. I don't say but, it's true. They are body things, and I'm still in a body. But on a spiritual level, in the vaster way, he fills me constantly. And he promised me that he would look after me and that he would be always available. And he is looking after me. Miracles have happened. Just miracles have happened. I just ask him, and there he is. He says he can help me better now than even when he was in a body. And it's true. And our loved ones want to do that. And one of the things I was also going to say is that in our culture, in the Western culture, we are not taught and we are not inspired to know that there is no death, that we can contact and use the other side. They're called the ancestors, those that have gone before us. And in many indigenous cultures, the relationship with our ancestors is just a natural part of the relationships. And they know that the ancestors are there to help us. And they definitely are. So we don't have to just believe. It's very good to know deep inside. And we've all got that knowledge, all of us. And we could use it.
Thank you so much to Rod, to you. Thank you, Rod. Alice, I would love for us to move into a time of meditation if you're willing to do that. I'll turn my camera off, but then I'll come back on after the meditation. So is that good?
That's fine.
All right, thank you. I'll see you in a bit.
Okay. Okay. What I'd like to do in this meditation is to go on a little guided imagery. So if all of you would like to close your eyes and focus on your breath and relax. Take a couple of very deep breaths and relax. Just relax. Be fully in the present moment and relax. I invite you to visualize that you're in a lovely meadow, and in front of you is a very gentle mountain. And coming from the mountain, right beside you in the meadow, is a beautiful stream. A beautiful stream. You can hear it gurgling, and beside the stream there is a path. And you start climbing gently, gently up the path beside the stream. And as you walk up the path, you get more and more relaxed. It's a beautiful day. The stream is making a lovely, gentle sound beside you. And you're walking on this beautiful path, noticing the beautiful plants around you and maybe some butterflies and the birds in the sky. And you're walking up and up this path with the stream beside you. And at some point, you stop and you look down at the stream and you cup your hands and you take some water. You drink some water from the stream. and it feels absolutely wonderful. It's the coolest, cleanest, purest water you've ever had. And it's really refreshing. And you carry on up and up and up. And suddenly you come to an open area. And in front of you, there is the most beautiful lake. The most beautiful lake, clear lake you've ever seen. And you realize that the stream has been fed by the lake. And you walk up closer and closer to the lake. And then you see, quite close to the lake, a bench, a long, beautiful bench made out of wood. And you sit down on the bench. You look at the beautiful lake. And you feel, as you're sitting on the bench, a presence beside you. Presence of a loved one. It's no longer in a body. You can feel the presence of this being that has wanted to get in touch with you. And there is sitting, he or she is sitting beside you. And then it's more than just sitting beside you. You feel this presence uniting with you, uniting with your whole being. And now this presence lives inside of you. I'd like you to take a few moments in silence, just feeling your loved one inside of you. And you can talk to them, you can listen to them, you can ask them questions. But I'm going to take a few minutes of silence so that you can do this. Your loved one is so happy that you've given them the opportunity to unite with you in this way. And they tell you that they are available at any time for you in all ways. And there's a great peace and enormous love surrounding you and feeling inside you. Every atom in your body knows that love is available for you. In any way that it can manifest. And at this moment, it's manifesting through a loved one that is no longer in a body, but is at one with you. Come back to your breath and open your eyes and look at the lake with the eyes of your inner heart as well as your outer. Look at that. Look at the beauty and the clarity of the lake. And feel the clarity and beauty and love within your heart as you're united with your loved one. And you can get up off the bench now, knowing what has just happened for you is real and continuous. You walk back to the path and are aware of the little stream, but you see everything from a different and greater perspective. Because you know that the spiritual worlds and those you love are always with you. You walk down the path, again noticing the flowers and the grass, and even the sounds that your feet make as you walk. And you stop again, and you cup your hands, and you take some of this water. Oh, it's so refreshing and so cool, and you know where it's from. You wash your face. It feels wonderful. And then you carry on down, down, until you reach the meadow again where you started. But you're different because you have a living presence inside of you, of your loved one. And there's a very great happiness for both of you. And as you're in the meadow there, with this inner knowing, just wiggle your toes and your hands and open your eyes. And be aware that what has just happened for you is completely real and will be with you always. There we go.
Thank you, Alice. Such a beautiful experience. I experienced my father, and it was just really quite profound. So thank you for that.
Lovely, Patricia.
Mm.
And how are you feeling inside?
Oh, I'm almost on the verge of tears because it feels so beautiful and uh, peaceful and loving. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for telling me what you've just gone through. And I wonder how other people are.
Yeah. Well, Alice, this has been a delight to speak with you. And I imagine some people will have questions. So I want to make sure we have time for that. And before we segue to that, I just want to give you a chance to show people you have a few books. We've talked today about Here I Am, Dad.
Mhm.
And maybe you can just, let people know, show, I think you have your books on hand. You can show them to people if they would like to check them out.
Well, this is Here I Am, Dad. They're all available on Amazon sites. And then in 2018, I had a really profound experience where I was invited to take a notepad and pen, and this came through, A Course in Christ. And Jesus talked to me, and he shared in 100 beautiful chapters about our own identity as the Christ. And he came as an example for all of us to be who we truly are. And he showed us how to do that by being who he truly was. And that's what that book's about. And then I wrote another one a couple of years later. And I was really surprised when this came through with Mary Magdalene, called Mary Magdalene, A Force of Love. And she is now truly, truly making herself known as the force of love that she is, equal to her beloved Jesus. And they taught together, and she carried on his teachings in her life, and she hasn't stopped. And it's a dialogue I had with her, that book. Those are, and then before that, also available from Amazon, is a book of poetry that I've also written called A Touch of Gold. And I spent a summer writing poems to God. And at the moment, I've been working on another book for the last 3 years with the Divine Mother, and it's getting close to being edited, and it'll be out probably in the next 3 or 4 months. And that's called In the Nest of the Divine Mother. These are not the latest one that isn't out yet, but all these are on my, just mentioned about them are on my website.
Which is alicefriend.com, right?
www.alicefriend.com, that's right.
Yeah. And you are also, you previously worked with people one-on-one and then stepped away from that for a time. And now
Yes.
you're feeling yourself sort of coming back to that. And so people, if they want to find out more, they can go on your website and see how they can be in touch with you, right?
Yes, they can get in touch with me through my website.
Great. Well, Alice, this has been a delight. I'm going to ask Joe to come back on now. And if people have a question, you can either raise your hand. And if you do that, Joe will bring you on as a panelist and you can actually ask your question to Alice with your video on. If you're shy and you don't want to be on screen, you can type your question in the Q&A box. So thank you. And Joe, I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you, thank you. Alice, that was just, I don't know how to describe it, particularly the meditation. I kind of like Patricia. I I think once again experienced my father, and he in fact was probably quite some years ago after his death, the one person who clearly came to me, and it was through olfactory senses. My father was a traditional guy, and he'd, lather up and shave, but they always used this aftershave. It was made by Mennen, Mennen. I guess they still make products. But all of a sudden, I was waking up one morning, and the room was filled with a sense of his aftershave. And he came up and gave me a bear hug like he never gave on earth. And we had this beautiful reunion. And so as you were guiding us through that meditation, once again, it was my father, I think, who sat down beside me. But I'm also going to be in touch with your husband, not in body, Rod, for as you know, he and I had become good friends in recent years as we got acquainted. And I have a feeling that he would be open to being in touch. And so you've inspired me to move ahead and initiate that. But anyway, it's just, this is beyond words. It's wonderful. And so I don't want to talk. I want to save some time for others. I noticed that we have some hands up. There's a hand from Linda. And Linda, I want you to click on the button that says promote to panelist. And if you do that, you'll be able to come on and turn on your video and unmute yourself. And let's see if she's up there yet. There she is. So yeah, start your video, Linda, and make sure you're not muted, and we'll have you asking a question of Alice.
Hi, Alice. Thank you so much for this. I have two questions. One is, has anyone spoken to you about reincarnation?
Well, it's interesting you say that because reincarnation does happen. It definitely is part of the cycle of life and non-life. Well, life, whole cycle of life. So, we come back if we choose to and want to learn more lessons and to love more and to find out what love is. But yes, definitely. Why do you ask that? Why do you want me to talk about that?
If we're in touch with a loved one, and I guess if we can't connect with them, is that a sign they have reincarnated?
That's a very interesting question. Okay, what I'm feeling, and I'm getting all these little tingles all through me, is that it often is a sign they have reincarnated. But the love that you have between you doesn't stop. It never stops. And you can continue communicating because what you're communicating with is a spirit, and the spirit is eternal as yours is. So you're communicating through spirit.
Thank you. The other question I have is my sister passed a year ago, and I think there's probably a lot of people who are trying to connect with her. Can she respond to simultaneously to people?
This is we live in time in this world, in this physical world, and they don't. They don't live in time or space as we know it. So yes, a lot can happen simultaneously. It's like we live in a timeline that goes along like this, and the spirit lives in a timeline that goes like this and includes everything. It's vertical and not horizontal like we seem to live in time. In the vertical plane, everything happens at the same time, the so-called same time. And that's how come angels and whatnot can create miracles, because it all happens outside of our time.
Mm.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you,
It,
Linda, for those wonderful questions.
Well, thank you so
They,
much for having this. Thank
yeah,
you, Alex.
the questions you ask give us new stuff to think about. So that's wonderful. And I wanted to save some time for some others. I see there's a hand here from Joyce. And so, Joyce, if you would, you'll see a button on your screen that says join as a panelist. And if you click on that, we'll be able to see you. And then you can click start your video and unmute, and you can ask Alice your question. There you are.
Joyce.
Unmute yourself. Yeah. You're muted. You're muted, Joyce. Let's see. Unmute. There. No.
Audio.
There you go.
There.
Now we hear you. Great. Go ahead.
Hello. Oh, goodness. Thank you so much. I just need to respond to the last question. Because my older sister died when she was 31. And I had just given birth to my first child. And then some time passed, and I was trying to have another child. And it didn't happen, and it didn't happen. And one day I was washing the dishes because I'd been praying to St. Jude and St. Gerard. And finally I just said, well, Joni, you're a lot closer to the action. Would you just put in a good word for me? Well, lo and behold, I conceived, and my little baby was due on March the 1st, or March the 3rd. She was born on March the 1st, on my sister Joni's birthday. And when we called my mother to tell her, she said, Joni's birthday, what time was she born? What time was she born? 4:44 in the afternoon, the same time, because my sister had been born at home. My grandmother was a midwife. How much did she weigh? The same weight, the same length, the same birthmark. It shifted me from believing to knowing. That's all I can say. And I was never able to conceive another child in all the years since then. My sweet daughter, I just saw her this morning, is 56 years old, and she is the most beautiful soul. And whenever she sees my sister's 3 children, who are grown, she just, her heart is just flooded, and she just weeps.
Mm.
And all I can say is it totally shifted me as a young woman. I just knew it. I know we are loved and we are heard. So, Alice, thank you. And thank the previous person who asked the question about reincarnation. And I also want to thank you for talking about how loved ones get through to us with electricity, because my husband died on my birthday 7 years ago. And he loved the holidays, and we were together for Thanksgiving 2 years after he died. And we'd had a lovely meal. We were sitting around by the fire having our pie, and my daughter Jenny's cell phone rang, and it said, Dad. And she answered the cell phone, and there was static. And she hung up, and we all just went, whoo. Well, it rang again. As if once was enough, it rang a second time. Dad, 2201145. Hello, hello, static. And so it was Terry just wanting to say, I'm here and I'd sure love to have some of that pie.
Yes. Oh,
So,
thank you so much for sharing. It's
well,
once
thank
you
you,
have an
because
experience like that, you know, you do know. You always know.
yes.
Oh, Joyce, how beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm all tingly inside from what you shared. Thank you,
Well,
love.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce, for that beautiful examples. They
Thank you.
mean so much. Well, we have another question. It looks like Dennis. I'm going to call on Dennis and ask Dennis if he would click on join as a panelist, and you can start your video and unmute, and we'll. There you are. Ask Alice. You're smiling like you know each other. Ask a question.
There we go. Okay. Yes, we do know each other. We've known each other for 20 years. We've
Oh
been
wow.
dear friends for a long time.
We certainly
And
have.
so it's actually wonderful to see you in this venue, Alice. And I really enjoyed just the many things you've had to say. And I've enjoyed 20 years of your kindness and your wisdom as well. Um, so, and I think my part of my motivation for coming to this and my folks and doing the meditation is I have a dear friend, and her name was when she was in body, it was Helena. And she'd been a close friend for 10 years. She lived in Costa Rica. And last about May of 2024 was diagnosed with cancer with some spread to the liver. And she was very involved with a lot of, I was very involved with her treatments and other things, not as a provider, but as a support. And then the last uh, period of her life, I went to Costa Rica and just took care of her. And I was with her when she left her body. And I just there was I just remembering after she had passed, the whole community is there gathering. In Costa Rica, everything's open. You just come and be with them. But I went outside, and her Airbnb is right next to the forest, and you can listen to the monkeys and things. And I sitting out there, I just sitting quietly. I could feel her in the breeze in the air. Very joyful, no longer in body. Uh, but like you, Alice, I have missed kind of, we used to chat by FaceTime pretty regularly, and occasionally I'd go visit in Costa Rica. And so I've kind of missed that, and I've kind of been curious about your ability to, just have ongoing conversations. I'd like to have some ongoing conversations with not only Helena, but a few other people as well that are no longer in body. So anything you might offer, either now or in some future way, that would be wonderful.
Dennis, what did you feel during the meditation?
I actually felt just there was kind of a sense of warmth, um, and there was a sense of presence. It was not as palpable as some presences I've had before at times, but there was definitely something there. Guided meditations are kind of hard for me to keep are hard for me to stay with, but I definitely experienced something there. Yes.
I think the love that you and Helena shared is very real. I can feel
Hmm.
that. I can feel it. I really feel that there's a lot of friendship and love there.
Hmm.
And did she love gardening?
She did.
Okay.
She
And
yeah, well, I could go on about that, but yeah, I'll just say yes. She
okay,
created a beautiful landscaping where she lived.
yeah, I'm seeing the most beautiful garden. And she'll meet you there if you go. It will help you get close to her if you visualize her garden and you meeting in that garden. She's showing me this beautiful, beautiful garden, Dennis. And if you quietly just close your eyes and go there in your mind,
Mhm.
she'll be with you. And that you can do that anytime.
Mhm.
Thank you
Okay.
so much, Dennis. for another wonderful example of how
Thank you.
are so close. And I appreciate that. I think we have time maybe for one more question. I was going to ask David if you would click on join as a panelist. And when you do, you know the routine. You can click on uh, turn on your video. There's David. And unmute and ask Alice your question.
Hi, David.
Alice, thank you so much for this wonderful talk. It's really cool. I want to maybe shift the emphasis a bit, ask about, the benevolent poltergeist phenomena. My mother was, I guess, a pretty playful spirit. A few months or years after she passed, well, a bowl of cherries were transferred itself into somebody's boot overnight. And everybody swore up and down that they didn't do it. So I've heard of things like that happening elsewhere, and I wonder, are some spirits granted powers, if you will, or is that only subconscious telepathy on this side? Um, I guess, a question that would be my question.
Well, they definitely like to make themselves known one way or another. And if you feel that somebody wanted to make themselves known through that, then all you have to do is talk to them. All you have to do is, you don't have to just say, oh, what's just happening? Or, this is poltergeist or whatever. I don't like that word poltergeist. There's a spirit that wants to make contact.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be frightened. Just send great love and feel that love and talk to it.
Yes, it was interesting is that, I mean, I suppose maybe my brother was talking to her. I wasn't. I felt good about my relationship with my mom. There wasn't anything that needed to be cleared up. But I guess she sort of took the initiative in some sense. Is there, I mean, I don't imagine, so they want to talk to us as well, and they will do things on their own if they, but I guess that's something that some spirits can do, because I imagine a lot of times a lot of folks would love to, you know, reconcile with people that they did things to and so forth, who never come through, or
Well, they seem like they never come through. They seem like they don't. But when you talk to them, when you think about them, when you ask for forgiveness or forgive them, it's actually real. Very, very real. And that's very, very important for people to do, even if they don't think that they're getting anything. It's very important that you still do your part, knowing that it does make a difference. And that's very important. And soon after that, you might start knowing that it's actually getting through, and you might be starting to get some messages. And often writing things down, you can write things down. I do a lot of writing, so I might ask my husband a question and write it down, although I can do it in my head as well. And then he'll tell me the answer. So you can do that too. And don't forget, it's all about love.
Thank you so much, David.
you.
That was another good stimulating question. I think we are so fortunate, Alice, to have you here, and I, um, I loved your earlier example of how you were communicating with your grandmother, because I'm kind of a very logical person, and often when I want to move in the direction you're talking, my critical mind will sort of say, there's nothing to that, want to doubt it, or, I'm making this up. And I love your grandma who said, don't believe them, don't believe them. I'm here, don't
I'm
believe.
not dead, I'm just different. I mean,
Yeah,
there it is in a nutshell. It says it all, doesn't it? I'm not dead, I'm
that,
just different.
that is so fabulous. And so, you know, I think we just have so many things that I have gotten from this time together with you, and I think will continue. After you have a powerful experience like this, I can see myself lying in bed and say, "Oh yeah, what about that?" So I think you will keep giving, and it is so wonderful. So I want to ask at this point that Patricia, if you will join us back again. Uh, as we thank Alice for this inspiring and beautiful time together. It's hard to put into words, but also with Patricia, I just always love to thank you because you're such a blessing to all of us in our center, and you're inspired and guiding ways of kind of getting us where we need to go. So thank you, Patricia. And Alice, as we get ready to kind of bring things to a close, I was going to mention to people about your website. You've already done that, I think, is alicefriend.com. And I was going to ask, is there anything else on the horizon for you right now that you're working on, or just mainly seeing people and doing the sort of work and ministry you've described? Well, you had a book that's about to be published, I think you said.
I'm still working with it, editing it and whatnot. But yes, I'm working with that. And I am open to start seeing people online, which I've not done before.
Mm-hmm.
I used to always see people in person, one to one. And I think I'm ready to start, seeing clients online as well as one to one if they're in Spain. Yes. But I'm always so happy when people actually know that they have talked to and conversed with their loved one,
Mm-hmm.
because it changes their life. And do I have 3 minutes to say
Yeah,
one more
you
story?
absolutely have
Okay.
all the time you want.
There was a very wonderful man called Sir George Trevelyan that was a very, very close friend of Rod and mine. And he's written quite a few books, and he died in 1999. He was a very Englishman. And he used to come for readings with my guide Golden Flame quite a lot. And he would give oratorios, and he'd give talks, and everything talking about the invisible worlds. And when he came to me for a reading one time, he said, Alice, I talk about the invisible worlds and I talk about the angels all the time, but there's something wrong with me because I've never seen them. I've never seen them. What's wrong? And anyway, I was with him when he was dying. I was privileged to be with him. Not actually at his hour of death. He waited till everybody was out of the room when he left his body, which sometimes people do. And he came back to me a day later, and he was a very, very English man. And he said, Alice, the invisible worlds are real. They are more real than I could have ever imagined. Tell everybody from me that the invisible worlds are real and they want to be used.
Mm. Pretty powerful.
Yeah. And they do. They want to be used.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Well, once again, it's been such a blessing, Alice, to have you here and to be together like this. And so I want to encourage people to, look at your books on Amazon, and also you can see more about Patricia if you'd like to follow her and check out her wonderful podcast. Her website is simply Patricia Pierce, spelled Pearce, patriciapierce.com. And as you know by now, the website for our center is a good place to know what's coming up. We have usually an all-day fall and spring retreat each year, and we have a wonderful fall retreat coming up in November. So check that out on our website, because that's a beautiful day that we can spend in meditation in different ways together, both in person at kind of our home base for in-person events, which is St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Chestnut Hill outside of Philadelphia, as well as live streaming, because we always have people from across the country or wherever who are joining us for that. So check all that out on contemporarymysticism.org. And it's a good way to know what's coming up, and you can join a website, of course, where we'll notify you. So thank you again, Alice and Patricia, and thanks to you, each of you who were here and had wonderful questions and example that just brought everything to life. So we will say goodbye now, and until we meet again, I'll say stay safe, be well, stay safe, be well, and remember you are perfect just exactly as you are. So thanks and blessings, and we'll see you
Thank
again
you.
soon.
Thank you
Take
so
care,
much.
everyone.
Love
Love
you
you
both.
all.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.